Hey guys, before we get into the video today, I want to announce our Black Friday Cyber Monday sale, which will be running through the end of the weekend. Click on the link in the description and you can get 35% off for life on subscriptions at the premium and basic plan over at CrushLivePoker.com. Let's move on here to Sean. Sean, you are up next, sir. You can unmute yourself. Hello.
Hi Bart, how are you?
Pretty good. How's it going, Sean? Long
Not
time
too
no
bad.
talk.
Yeah, I've been away a bit.
Did you get a
Awesome.
hand for us?
I do. I have a hand for you. It's both a hand and a bit of a situational thing.
Yeah, this is an etiquette type thing at the end too, or something,
It
if I
is.
remember?
Yeah, it
Okay,
is correct.
I like those
So
spots.
it's 510 at the Aria,
Okay,
and this game has a max buy-in for 5,000.
right.
And pretty much most people are straddling at the game, and there's like three or four big stacks at the table.
So is
Um,
this always the biggest game at the Aria?
This is pretty much the biggest game. I mean, sometimes they have two tables, maybe of two or three tables of this game running, but yeah, this is the biggest game. This is the game that I like to play in the most when I'm in Vegas because they're really, really deep in the 510 game.
By the way, just something of note, and I might do a separate video on this too. I remember when I was tweeting from Thailand or I don't know, a couple days ago, someone had said on the CLP Discord that the games were horrible in LA. They were overrun by Euros, and I tweeted that out. And literally all the Europeans, I think, hate my guts, which is fine. But I am not xenophobic against anyone, okay? Like, it doesn't matter that they're foreigners. I'm just trying to tell people how it is in the terms of the behavior and the reason why
Right.
a lot of recreational players don't want to play with foreigners, because for the most part they kind of are all very serious. Usually they're pretty good. Now people will say, well, if they're all losing players, you wouldn't have anything to say about it. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't have anything to say about it because we wouldn't be driving the rest of the VIPs away if they were
Right.
losing players,
Right.
right?
I
But
mean, this is a
these
young
guys,
Euro guy as well. Yeah. So,
okay, these
but they
guys are
learn in
all
this.
fairly solid players, but I just have I take issue with some of the behavior, which is sort of traveling in groups. Really, no, I would say kind of a lack of awareness and or just not caring,
Right.
about moving in groups, putting names on tables in groups, and
Sure.
shuttling everyone out of the game. But I mean, I would say 99.9% of people on that Twitter thread are European that would come say, "Oh, xenophobic," and then most Americans agree with me, so you take it for what I live. Anyways, okay, all right, on to the hand. Sorry.
Right. So I have 11,300 in front of me.
Okay.
And a bit of backstory: this guy is a early 20s Italian guy who's just sat down at the table about 10 minutes ago. When he sat down initially, I noticed that he put way more than the 5,000, the max buy-in. And so I brought it up. I said to the dealer, "Isn't it max buy-in 5,000?" The dealer said, "Yeah, yeah, it is." And he made him remove the rest of his money from his stack.
So he just sat down and you said, "Hey,
Yeah, I was
okay,
like, "Well, Max, are you coming
right."
from a different table?" Or he was like, "No, I just came in now." And I was like, "Well, it's 5,000." So
By
he
the
was like,
by the way, I got to be honest with you. I have absolutely now. So it was a habitual issue. You could call it a problem issue, but it was an issue at Commerce where I cut my teeth at 510, 1500 cap, where people would go north. I didn't, I didn't necessarily care about people going north, but I thought it was bullshit when people would go north when they moved to the table with a big whale. Going north, of course, is buying in for the cap. So they would table change over the cap. They would table change to a table with a huge whale. And maybe I had built my stack up at that table, and now all of a sudden the whale's got 7 or 8,000, and some new professional comes over and tries to put 8,000 down on the table, and it's a capped game. And I think that that was bullshit, and I would call it out, especially towards the end, because it got really, really bad. So if you're playing in a capped game and you're deep, and another tough player comes and he tries to buy in for over the cap, you absolutely, if you want to, have a right to say something. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a loose rule that sometimes is not, it's weird because a lot of times the casino won't necessarily enforce it. So then you sort of look like the bad guy, but I said just say fuck it,
Well, listen, I mean, for me, like I'm a recreational player. I mean, I play a lot of poker, but I'm not a pro. Like this is not what I
Right.
do for a living. So
Right.
I have an edge in higher stake games where there's more money involved.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
think I have an edge in like really, really deep stack sort of 5-10 games, you know?
You mean you can actually lean on these guys with real money, but not at
Right.
this type of money,
But
right?
not at this.
Right.
For him, like he's gonna be comfortable with losing
Right.
5, 6, 7 thousand, you know?
Right. 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 Right.
Um, yeah, so anyhow, he removes the money and the game gets underway. And about 10 minutes later, this hand happens.
Hmm.
So middle position, it's a straddle pot. Middle position opens to, who is villain, by the way.
Okay.
He opens to 70. Cutoff calls.
Okay.
I'm on the button with Queen 10 of diamonds, and I 3-bet to 310.
All right. So MP opens to 70, cutoff calls. Hero is on button with Queen 10 of diamonds. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Queen 10 diamonds and goes to 370?
310.
310. Okay. So 4x, a little bit. 4x plus like half dead. Okay, that's good. So a little bit of a squeeze here.
Right.
So you thinking that he has 5,000, obviously, which is still super deep. Was there? So there's a straddle on though, right? It's
Yeah, there's a straddle. So it's
map.
still 250 big blinds deep. Yeah, it's still
Okay.
a pretty deep stack. Yeah.
No, I'm just kind of. I'm trying to think about if I ever overcall here on the button sometimes.
Right.
Versus a cutoff call. I mean, obviously you can squeeze here. It's just kind of the like. What would you do with like 7-6 suited here?
I'd overcall.
You would. Okay, so this is just because it's a Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway hand, and I thought I could just put a lot of pressure on, and even post flop again, still apply pressure even if I'm not hitting anything.
Okay, so you go to 310.
Yeah, both players call.
Okay.
So the pot's now about 950, and
Okay.
the flop comes 10 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds.
10 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds. Hero has 3-bet. Queen 10 of diamonds. So you get this top pair and a flush draw. Pretty big flop for you.
Yeah, great flop for me.
Yep.
Middle position checks, cutoff checks, and I bet 250, which, I mean, I think from a game theory standpoint is a good sizing, but I think I like, in terms of taking advantage of this type of board, I should be betting bigger, I think. Am I correct? Do you agree?
I would bet. I think you're definitely allowed to bet bigger if it's heads up. Here multi-way, it's just once you start to go over probably 1/3 here, I think that guy. I don't know. Is the cutoff? What's the deal with the cutoff, dude?
The cutoff, the cutoff was he was just a recreational player. It wasn't a good player.
I gotta be honest with you. I think I'd probably take the small sizing here. I don't think you need to take large sizing, especially with the properties of your hand here too.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, it's so slight, right? I mean, this is kind of like 1/3 ish type of sizing. Usually in live, you can go a little bit larger. You could have bet like 300. And
Right.
maybe with over pairs, maybe there's a larger in between. I don't know if I'd go 2/3, but maybe there's a slightly larger sizing. But I don't have an issue going here. I probably would have bet 300, but I think going like 700-800 or something like that is kind of is a little bit large. Yeah.
Right. Sure. So middle position calls and the cutoff folds.
All right, so MP calls, cutoff fold. So obviously MP should be stronger here, right, with the guy behind him.
Correct.
Right, so 1450 to the turn. Okay.
The turn is now the 9 of diamonds.
Okay, so you make a flush.
Yeah, the front door comes in.
Uh-huh.
And I'd initially planned to be betting like pretty big here. But now that I hit, I'm trying to like size so that I can get like his one pair with diamond, like if he has a pair with a diamond in his hand to call. So middle position checks, and I bet 700. And middle position now check raises to 2,300.
So you bet half the size of the pot.
Right.
Raises to 2,700. Is that right?
2,300.
2,300.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things going on here. So I just do want. I mean, I would say at least 9 times out of 10, I'm not checking here behind with diamonds. It's just kind of interesting to note that sometimes you would do a lot of checking with overpairs here, even with a diamond and a 3-bet pot. Right. So I do wonder if sometimes some of the smaller flushes here are sometimes checked. Not that Queen 10 of diamonds is all that small, but if you had like a small suited connector or something like that, like 6-7 of diamonds, 7-8 of diamonds, although you said you'd overcall with those, but I'm just kind of talking out loud. And of course, the way that, of course, you balance betting here with some flushes or some strong hands is that if you had like ace king with the ace of diamonds and started a bet, you would bet here on the turn. So there's that. Obviously, I have no problem with the bet. possibly maybe usually half pot sizing isn't really taken, although it's kind of weird because if you start with 5K, I kind of maybe want to go a little bit larger here for 2/3, like 1,000 to 1,100, because then at that point, if he calls, I think that you guys have about a pot size bet left. It just sort of allows for a larger sizing at the end.
Right.
Now, when you go 7 and he raises to 23, if you call, the pot will be 46. It'll be 6,000 ish. And you guys will only have like what, effective maybe 2,300 ish or maybe 2,000 ish left.
Yeah, around about 2,300. Yeah,
So it's only 1/3 of a pot size bet left, right?
correct.
I
Right.
mean, if the guy's got 5,000, I mean, I guess you can't really fuck it up, right? I mean, you could just.
I mean, I
Yeah.
thought if I bet 700 and he calls, the pot then is about 2,500, and he's basically a pot size bet left on the river, right? So
Well,
that's the
I'm talking
reason.
about as a response to his check raise. I'm talking about. I'm saying that right now
Right.
he makes it 23. If you call, the pot is 6,000, and you guys have put in 3,000,
Oh,
so
right.
you only
I see.
have like
Yeah.
2,000. So I was thinking about a response here, whether you just 3-bet jam all in or you just call. But
Right.
to get back to your other question, if you bet 7 and he calls, the pot's like 28, and you guys have I think you would have had
Have
about
about just over
32.
3,500. I
Yeah,
think.
that's why I think I would have gone for the larger sizing. But
Larger
I
sizes.
just think
Right.
it's interesting here whether you just 3-bet jam here with 1/3 left, because I mean I'm just trying to think. So the reasons why you wouldn't would be to get the guy to bluff. I suppose to get the guy to bluff, maybe make your hand look like it's got an overpair with a diamond, and somehow you're just gonna go call. You know what I mean? You're gonna go
Correct.
call.
Right.
I mean, even if another diamond comes, it would kind of be brutal, but it would be hard. But so you called?
I just called.
Right.
And like you said, the pot's now 6,000. The river was 3 of clubs.
All right, so just a total brick, right?
Total break. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
He jams, and I was gonna snap call, and then I just, I said to the dealer, "Hey, can I get a count?" And the dealer starts counting, and it's 7,000 something that he has in front of him.
$7,000 jam at the end.
Yeah, at the end. So at that point, I'm like,
What? Oh
you can
wow.
only have like 5,000. Like you haven't played any. You played like one little pot. Like, you max buy-in was 5,000. He's arguing, and the dealer turned around to me and said, "Well, you should have said something at the beginning." And I said, "Well, I didn't know at the beginning." And I said, "Listen, let's not argue. Let's just call the floor." Um, so they get the floor to come over, and the
Well,
floor.
first of all, before you go on with your story, Sean, and I'm interested in the rest of this,
Yeah,
just to not dissuade, like, it's even if it's called 7,000 here, I think you have to. I mean, it's over a pot size bet. You would have played it fine. I would still call across,
you
but
would
it's
still
interesting.
call.
I would still call for 7,000. I mean, you've got a queen high flush, but go on with what you're saying. So of course, to just bring this back because I find this so interesting, you had
Right.
already asked the guy because he had gone north before, and now all of a sudden he just shows up with these chips. So obviously he went north again, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So basically, the floor comes over, and they go away and they have a look, and they come back and they say, "Yeah, when the dealers were changing, you put more chips on the table." And they asked him to remove 5,000, so he had like 2,300 left.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they told me that the all-in would be $2,300.
So wait a minute, they went to the cameras or what?
Yeah, they went to the cameras. Yeah, they
So
went to have a look.
you asked them and they stopped the action and they went to the cameras.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, if I hadn't mentioned this to him and it was just out of the blue, then that's different. But I asked him 10 minutes ago to take his money off the table because
Right.
he bought in for more.
It's funny because Sean McCormick, who I know pretty well, although he's now hot, he used to be the poker room manager at Aria, and now he's going to go up the chain at MGM. This is an interesting one because here's my take on this: is that normally the way that I've seen this called out is that in order for you to not have an extreme advantage as the person sort of calling out the player going north, normally if a stack is not called out as being too high before the hand begins, then the chips play in that hand because it can cause huge sort of advantages for the other player, meaning you, in a
Right.
sense that's what I've seen happen, where, because I've seen this happen at Commerce 510, where someone will be like, where did this guy get these chips from? And the way that they'll rule it, which I think is sort of correct, is, well, it's accepted action once the hand starts. You have to mention it before the hand. The issue is for you, though, you already mentioned it a
Correct.
couple of
I
hands
mentioned it
ago.
like literally 10.
Right.
It hadn't been 10 minutes.
So this is where I think that like the floor has to have some discretion, even if their policy is like, oh, it's accepted action before the hand. This is where I like to have the floor have some thought process, like be able to have some flexibility and some leniency. Where
Right.
if I was the floor, I'd be like, even though it's our policy that it's accepted action, this guy brought up that you went north before. This is a cap game. Like, we're not allowing this to play. You see what I'm saying? Like that I
Right.
think is the correct answer.
Right, which is what they did. In fairness, I mean, it
Okay.
took them a good 10 minutes, but that's they told them to remove 5,000, and they
Well, let me ask you this question though. The other question is do you want the bet to be 7,000 or 2,300?
truthfully, from the way he was so annoyed and everything, I almost didn't even call the 2,300. Like that was, I was so certain that he just had on this particular board, Bart. I feel like he has a lot of like ace X of diamonds. There's just so many, like all of his like value ranges, the ace X of diamonds that are there.
Now let me.
And
So this guy brings up an interesting point, Juju, and I'll give you my honest answer. Juju says, and this is what sort of where the rule is probably in place. Juju says, would you have mentioned it if you had the nuts? That's the reason why that they go with this policy, because it gives the person calling out a huge advantage. Now, personally, I got to tell you, if I was in Sean's spot and this guy and I had done what Sean did and he still went north anyways and I had the nuts, no, I wouldn't mention it because the guy's trying to fucking pull one over on me anyways, right?
exactly. Yeah. Like, listen, if
Yeah.
somebody does something with making a mistake, I feel like that's a different situation. But he's trying to get an edge, which is not fair. I've
Right.
sat there for hours. I bought in for 5K. I built up my stack to over 11,000, and he wants to come in and put more money than me on the table, and then stack me with the nuts. I mean, that's not. Like I said, I feel like he has an edge. Yes, you're correct. If I had the nuts, I would have just taken all his money. Yeah.
So they play for 2,300. I assume you call, right?
I did. Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
from how upset he was, I really wanted to just fold and just be like, yeah, I'm done with this hand.
Oh, because he was so upset based upon the fact that it was only 2,300. Well, that could be a whole reverse tell too, but
right.
no.
Anyhow, I ended up calling, and yeah, he had ace 6 of diamonds. So, but I was very lucky, Bart, because I almost snap call.
God, I wonder. It's so funny because, and again, it sort of gets back to why they have this rule, which is probably correct in place, because I wonder, Sean, if I'm in your situation and I even sort of recognize what's going on, I wonder if I want the bet to be less or not, which again is why the rule is it's got to be before the hand, because I'm gaining a huge advantage by sort of quasi free rolling the guy based upon the strength of my hand, whether I want the bet to be 2,300 or I want the bet to be 7,000, right? So it kind of demonstrates that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
do I want the bet to be 7,000 with queen 10 of diamonds, or do I want the bet to be 2,300?
Well, I think if they had ruled and said that it was going to be the 70-something hundred, I would have folded. I don't think I would have called. I know that you say that I should have called with queen 10.
That's a hell of a fold, man. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, like, I literally, with the 2,300, I wanted to just fold. I think I was upset because I'm not really the type of person to do this type of thing. At the table, get the floor involved and say something, be confrontational with someone. And that whole situation just kind of upset me and just left a bad taste in my mouth. So
one last thing on this, Nate Schmidt says, is that if you snapped, meaning let's say the guy moves all in, right? And you snap called, what would have happened? Now, in that case, if Sean doesn't... So Sean did everything right in this case because he confirmed how much it was. Because I think if Sean snaps, I don't think the floor can really revert back. I just don't think so. I don't...
Right.
It just opens up too many things. But you did all the right things, though, to protect yourself,
Thankfully, yes.
Yeah.
So I lost the minimum.
Interesting. All right, Sean, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Bart. Take it easy.